And I there's always that survivor's guilt that people have. Like, I don't know if everybody does, but I know I do. I'm gonna talk about me. And that survivor's guilt, the number one question you ask yourself is, man, what could I have done to have changed that situation? Like, with my cousin Kenya, she didn't have to kill herself. I mean, I couldn't even say anything because I'm like, damn, I was sitting in my car with these thoughts. Like, I was sitting in my car on the road like, yo, I could just skirt,
right,
bring my kids with me, and then I don't have to go through divorce. I don't have to go through child support. I don't have to go through custody hearings. Like, I don't have to go through. I could just end it. Like, why am I putting myself in this, right? Because I felt like I was in control, and at the end of the day, no, God was in control. You know what I'm saying? And even that, it's like, okay, as believing in God, like, why would God let her take her life? Why would God let anybody take their life? And then there's that struggle. So
welcome everybody back to another exciting show of the About That Water podcast. I have the awesome opportunity to bring on somebody that you've heard before, to Ruthie Thee Truth. Yeah. What's good people? How y'all doing? What's going on, Ruthie? How have you been?
Wow, what an intro, I must say.
You want your intro music? Let me see, I get something in here. It'd be so hilarious. They're like, what are you doing for your show? I'm doing it. So let's go on it. Look at your intro here.
They can't see me like Houdini.
Okay, Ruthie.
Get it. They can't see me like Houdini, Lamborghini. It go boom. They can't see me like Houdini, move discreetly. I go boom. They can't see me like Houdini.
We got too much fun in here, man. This is not good.
Oh man. So yeah. So it's good seeing you back on the show. And you've been doing some amazing things. You've been doing some conferences. You've been putting out a full workbook that we definitely going to dive into today. And what are you excited about this year?
Oh my gosh. So first and foremost, let me say to everybody, hello everybody, and good morning.
Hey.
Good morning to you. Oh, hey. It's your girl, Ruthie Thee Truth, your financial wellness coach and your number one strategist for goal-driven planning. And I am super excited to hit this 800 goal for 2024, 800 dads and grads that have a positive financial impact on their lives and the lives of their family and friends and colleagues even. So I'm looking forward to spreading the word and some, some events coming up that, I haven't released just yet, but I will be releasing them here today on your show. So all of your listeners here will be first to hear it, and I'm excited.
Yay. So, like, what is this 800 thing? Like, why 800?
Ooh, I love that question. So, well, the number 8 is actually, there's so many. So this is what I told on the with Tiff when I was talking money talk with Tiff. I was telling her this is like one of those onion questions. There are many layers of response, but ultimately, the number 8 is very significant to me because if you turn it sideways, it's infinity, right? Mm-hmm. And so like Toy Story, they say to infinity and beyond, right? So the idea is that I want this to continue to grow and scale into something really beyond the 800. It could be 8,000. It could be 8 million. Like the purpose of it is to continue to grow and continue to scale. So I want to aim at the moon and land in the stars. And that number 800 is there. And plus, credit is another factor that I talk about. Like, that's what I do. I help people get out of debt and establish credit. Well, really, I help them to establish the credit first, and then by them establishing credit, it allows them to get out of debt. And so there's what I think the highest credit score is like 850.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're at 800, if I could get you to an 800 credit score, like you good money. You're out of debt. You're out of like misery of what like when life is lifing. Like I want to help dads and grads get out of that miserable mindset of just feeling like they can't do it because the scripture that I usually go by. Well, I go by this prayer, the Serenity Prayer. I pray this every morning, but I also like that scripture, Psalms 30:5, like weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Hence why it is always morning in my world, because I want to be the joy that dads and grads know they can always turn to in their moments of despair. So,
I actually like that because a lot of people do feel hopeless, especially since COVID. The sense of loneliness, the sense of belonging, the sense of not being enough when things hit the fan, the sense of not being prepared. And we all feel that way. But how do we get through it? And one of the things that I did like about going through your Dads and Grads edition that you put out there is that it kind of helps people find that why again, find that belief in themselves, and really not giving up on themselves, because the giving up is the easy part. Giving up is for the living, Yeah.
Right, exactly.
So what do you plan on? So what got you into this workbook? So if you don't mind me asking.
Well, I mean, there's so many different things, but ultimately, my ideal client is the person who was the inspiration behind creating something tangible for people to be able to grab hold of. Like, I know sometimes people, they're like, man, I wish you were local, right? But even if I'm not, I've created something that it's available, like at the palm of your fingers instantly in a time where you need it, where I know dads and grads will need it the most, even if I am not available, because, I'm always, Ruthie's always on the move. I'm always on the road. So even my hashtag is Ruthie's Road to 800. Because I'm always moving. I'm always going somewhere. So I could be local in like a day and then I'll be gone, the next day or whatever. So I just wanted something tangible that dads and grads would be able to, hold and have as a reference. And I also believe that it was very important for me to produce this, because it's kind of to what you were saying before, like it sparks hope when a person flips this book, when they see the picture. I mean, they don't have my picture in real time, but that picture is very significant to me. And I don't think everybody really knows. Well, actually, no, I don't think most people who don't really know my story, they don't know the significance of this picture to me, present day. So this book is actually dedicated to my father, who passed away back in February of 2012. And during that time, that was my darkest mental health moment. Like, I literally had a mental breakdown, and it was so, like, I didn't think I could go on. Like, I was hopeless. Like, me, Ruthie Thee Truth, the one who sparks joy for everybody else now. Like, I was the complete opposite of this. I was going through, like, my father had died, like, abruptly. I didn't have time to plan. It was like 5 days. And I was, at the time when I got the news, it was like 2 days after Valentine's Day. And I had called my dad. I was in court. I was in child support court. And I was sitting in the waiting area. And, I'm waiting for the people to call my soon-to-be ex-husband is sitting across, because we're about to go through divorce. And so, he was, whatever. He got his coworker pregnant. I'm like, all right, you know what? Listen.
Oh.
Yeah.
Jeez.
This is... No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean... I didn't read this. This is the real. This is the real. So Ruthie Thee Truth, right? So this is part of how I got the name because I told my story to the client, and yeah, so her mom was actually in the courtroom. Like I was like, I know this like I didn't know who that lady was at the time, but then come to find out there was some other stuff going on, and so she's like, this random woman is hugging he's still my husband, but like we're just going through this really bad separation, and there were domestic issues, and so I was like, you know what, this is the time I felt like I needed my father the most in my life, and he was gone. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, that I got the news that he was on life support, and 5 days later he was gone. He literally was gone, and I'm like, or six, maybe it was six, I don't know. It was so much going on.
It was soon,
yeah, soon after, and and so I was just like distraught because I'm like, I spoke to my father 2 days prior. And I'm like, hey, Dad, just because I knew I had the court case, and I knew it was on Valentine's Day because we could schedule the thing. So I was like, listen, well, if ain't no love here, so we might as well just schedule this child support hearing. If I got to see you anyway, let's just end it like this. And so, it was just 2 days prior. I said, Dad, I know I'm going to be in court on Valentine's Day, but I just want to tell you I love you. So that heart is like, this is me. This is symbolic of that moment in my life where I was at my lowest point, and so I mean it says in loving memory, but I chose to put the frame as the heart because those were the last words that I said to my father before I got the news that he was on life support. And so that's the significance of this picture specifically.
So with that, because I know this one right now, this is kind of like a sneak peek to the actual book as the time of this recording. So, you have this moment, you're going through some stuff. Why is it called the Wheel of Life?
Yeah, so when my initial thought for this was to make life is complicated enough. So I wanted to find a way where I can simplify life. And so it just so happened that the 8 major categories, when I was doing research and, on like the psychology, because I really focus more on the mental health aspect of money management. And as I was putting it together, I'm like, wait a minute, like a lot of guys, they like cars, right? And so every car it has a steering wheel, right? And so you have to steer, and women drive cars too, so it's not, women are not exempt. Kids drive cars. Like that is symbolic of you determining where your life is going to go, which direction you're going in, right? And so the wheel that's the representation. And so now there's also the tires on the car, and so the book that has the wheel, it's like life keeps going. So even though life was lifing for me, I still had to keep going because I was still a mother. I was still in college. I was still a wife. Like I still had to live with this person that we're in court with, and like there was things that were still there. And so I realized that the one thing that most people did not do was ask me, how are you feeling? Right? Like, and that's why I made this, that's why this is what it is, right? That's why the whole premise of the book, in order to complete the workbook, you have to ask. Like, it forces dads and grads to ask each other or their families to ask them, how are you feeling? Because it's very important. When you are hopeless, when you are going through a mental breakdown, you definitely need to be checked in on. Like, I definitely needed to be checked in on. And I definitely, like, people, they add, they do the very generic version of, like asking, hey, how's it going? Or, but not, it's not intentional. Right.
Yeah.
And so, like, this tool specifically is intentional. And that was one thing, another thing that I noticed I didn't have anymore, like with my dad, or even when he was alive. Like, I felt so mad because I'm like, man, you didn't even ask this dude before he started dealing with your daughter, like, what are your intentions with my child? You know what I'm saying? Like, what?
Well, I mean, like, because I think about it like this way. Like, some people just have the best intentions for everybody. Like, you kind of wish they had, you know what I'm saying? Like, most time, like, to me, I'm like, hey, you got the best intentions until I don't have to. Because if I have to worry about you and all this stuff like that, I don't have to worry about you anymore. Because then I'm doing extra mind work that I don't need to in my life. So it's like, hoping. I mean, I know it can go back and forth, depending on how. That's me personally, though. Like,
Listen,
I
right.
trust, but until I can't trust you no more. So
Right, but hear what you just said, right? Because trust is really to be earned, not given.
that's true.
And so this is exactly like that is the purpose of this book. It like this workbook is to spark those conversations that most people they kind of like skip over. And so this is kind of the reason why I ended up in the statistics of everything I did not want to be. I did not want to be a divorcee. I did not want to be a single mom. I did not want to be on child support. I did not want to be a college dropout. Like, I did not want to be on welfare. I did not want to be any part of those statistics. And that's exactly what ended up happening to me, because there wasn't a tool like this that was available for targeted to my dad in grad, because he graduated from like the military, to be like, yo, hey, you need this. Like, your children need this, and your children's children need this, because that was the domino effect. Like, it affected his children's children. And I mean, thank God that I had faith in God, and that is what got me ultimately. That's what got me through it. It's just my background of being in church and being raised in church, and just the scriptures that helped me to kind of snap out of it long enough to, like, even when I did feel suicidal and homicidal, I was like, all right, this scripture says, thou shalt not kill. Right. So I'm going to chill because, whatever. But then there's another scripture in Ecclesiastics. There's a time for all things. There's a time for war, and there's a time for peace. Like, you know what I'm saying? Right, so it started making me, I went crazy. Like, I was going insane. I was going absolutely crazy. But then, like, it just took people around me. So, like, while I was in college, the work study, like, God had his hands on my life. He still does. Mm-hmm. And that is why I do this, right? This book is literally like, this is what I know God created me to do. Like, this is my purpose in life. This is what I do full time. Like, the job that I have, I used to be a medical coder in the hospital. That was the top paying job with the benefit, the $11.99 benefits that covered there was no co-pays. There was no, like, my life was set. I was good. Even though I was still, like, I was under the rich tax bracket, but I was still, like, able to maneuver. Like, I had enough money to make things happen, to, like, go on trips, to take my kids to Cuba, to, like, like, take multiple trips back and forth to California to visit my family in Florida and, Georgia, Maryland, Fort Washington. Like, I was able, it allowed the financial freedom, like, it allowed me the financial freedom to do what I had to do, even though I still felt broke. Like, and I'm going to tell people, like, yeah, as a financial wellness coach, because I know a lot of people had this in their mind, like, what is your net worth? Yeah. And, I never thought about that because I was always in survival mode. Like, I never had the time to stop and think and reflect on what is my net worth, but this workbook that will help anybody stop, even like, and make them realize, like, yes, you still have to survive. However, your mental health is priority. And if your mental health is not intact, you may not survive. And that is the reality. And I'm a person, I get deep, right? So and I feel like because I know you in Maryland and I know you know the area, right? So I had recently visited a cousin, older cousin that was in Fort Washington, right? They used to live in Alexandria, and years ago, what my son was, I think he was a year old. He was like a baby. Yeah, because her daughter was 3. She and I were pregnant at the same time. So the cousin that I went to go visit, her daughter was like a few years older than me, and she and I were pregnant with our first children, first daughters, back in 07, 08. She was going through similar. It was like she and I were going through the same thing because we literally we were going through pregnancy, we were going through the hormonal changes. Like we literally were going through life in very parallel, steps and experiences. And Easter of 2011, 8, 9, 10, 11, yeah, Easter of 2021, just the year before my father passed. I got a phone call. Well, the family, we got a phone call from Maryland. And it was from my cousin that I just visited. And she said they found her daughter, which was my cousin Kenya, that was pregnant, in the car. She committed suicide. And that shook me because I had the same, like we talked about that at her funeral. And she had attempted suicide previously. And her mom, I guess, just never, she prayed about it, right? Because that's in our culture, like, we cousins, so I'm gonna talk from that angle, right? That's where,
but you don't talk about it, but you'll pray about it. Yeah,
right. And so my thing with that, I was like, I think that's ultimately what saved my life, because she had a book. She has a book. It's on Amazon. I don't think it's like fully published, but if I could find a way to incorporate it with this so people can really see, like, this is a thing, like, this is just, she and I had parallels. And so I'm going to continue to publish things, and for her name to still live on, and because I know if she was still alive today, she would have probably made this or something like this. And she was struggling, and I didn't know, because I was struggling. And like the family, like, traditionally, it's mental health is not a thing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
because you don't talk about it. We don't talk about it. And even when you're going through it, you don't want other people to know that you're going through it, because it feels like you're less than. And you feel as though like you're upholding some type of image, when it's like, no, life be lifing. Like you said earlier, it's like, we can't control everything. Our emotions sometimes creep up on us, and instead of just sharing the things that are going on, we'll rather just deal with it on our own. Right. And I'm, again, sorry for your loss for that one.
Yeah, I know I didn't tell you. I know I'm kind of like,
you good. You good.
But this is the organic conversation, because and that's another reason why I popped up on her and I checked in on her, because my cousin, her birthday is around Valentine's Day. I think it's February 12th or 14th. And so when I was out there, that was just before her birthday, but I wanted to check in on her mom.
Family,
and her daughter was there. So I got the opportunity to sit, talk with her daughter, and listen to her daughter. I mean, we didn't do the Wheel of Life, but I did show them the workbook. And, it's so important to pull up on your family, to check in on them, because everybody is not going to tell you when they're going through things. Like, that's just, that's what it is. And I noticed that, like, that revelation came to me when my father passed away. Like, man, that's how dads are. And then my brother in 2019, June, he passed away as well. I spoke to him 2 hours before he took his last breath. And that was during my grandfather's repast, and my grandfather died on Father's Day in 2019. Yeah, so death is a thing. Like, I live because I've seen so much. I'm living through a lot of that grief of loss from people that I never asked them the question sincerely, how are you feeling? And I there's always that survivor's guilt. that people have. Like, I don't know if everybody does, but I know I do. I'm talking about me.
Mm-hmm.
And that survivor's guilt, the number one question you ask yourself is, man, what could I have done to have changed that situation? Like, with my cousin Kenya, she didn't have to kill herself. I mean, I couldn't even say anything because I'm like, damn, I was sitting in my car. I was sitting in my car with these thoughts. Like, I was sitting in my car on the road, like, yo, I could just skirt,
Right.
bring my kids with me, and then I don't have to go through divorce. I don't have to go through child support. I don't
Everything
have
been
to go
done.
through custody hearings. Like, I don't have to go through. I could just end it. Like, why am I putting myself in this, right? Because I felt like I was in control, and at the end of the day, no, God was in control. You know what I'm saying? And even that, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, as believing in God, like, why would God let her take her life? Why would God let anybody take their life? And then there's that struggle. So, we have these talks. Her mom is open to having those type of talks of, like, suicide and, Christianity, and just the belief, having the belief in God, and dealing with suicide, because I'm sure at some point we will go through the experience of losing someone to suicide. And that's the reality. I've seen it so many times working in the hospital. Um, when I first started working in the hospital, I was a nurse's aide, and I used to sit on suicide watch with the patients. I used to work overnight because I couldn't afford
Mm-hmm.
childcare, and so it was like my job, but it was my job because that's what the hospital hired me
To
to
do.
do,
Yeah.
right? But there was a divinity within me that I was designed to sit. Right, there was a reason why they called me, of all of the nurses' aides, they called me to sit in with these patients.
Yeah.
And and you're talking about people that they're one chain on the
Oh,
bed.
and the rails. Yeah.
So I have to give them a bedpan. I have to give them the urinal. Like, I have to care for these patients. And then at the same time, this is reminding me of my cousin, that I felt like I didn't put enough care into being there for her. But here I am with a complete stranger, and I'm giving them the hope that, like, you know, you,
You got
like,
it.
what's up? Yeah, like, yo, what's making you feel this way? So
But I think the difference also is that those people or the family had intervened with that person to get them the help that they needed. And I'm thinking is that because they not people, like you said, for most of us in our communities, we usually don't talk about it. And because we don't have that conversation, we don't have that option to have people intervene in our lives. Or even coming in from a coworker perspective of somebody doing it. I know in the military, it's a huge thing. And especially around the Christmas time frame, it's usually like a high death rate when it comes to some of the service members. So it's just kind of like checking in because you get that sense of loneliness. You're away from home, you're hearing everybody else saying like, "Hey, happy holidays" and so forth, but they just can't be with their family. So, and I guess in a sense, when they do have such thoughts or whatever, I'm not sure 100%, but I'm just thinking of that sense of loneliness does creep in, and just to kind of let you know, like, hey, for those of you who are listening and who know people that have, or if you, even if you yourself are thinking that, just know that, like, if you need a person to talk to, you can always come on the show. Like, we always here.
we are here.
My show is always open. If you guys want to set up a 15-minute call, that's fine. But keep in mind, like, this is a show. I still got things to do as well, but I'm here to listen for you. This is not a suicidal watch phone call, but if you have one of those, I know you have the phone number for suicidal watch.
998.
Go ahead.
998. That's national.
998. Okay.
Yeah, you know how they have 411, 611 for suicide. 988.
988.
Because I was born in 88, so nah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, thinking about it, it's like it's one thing, but also trying to help out another. And so, like, even on my show, like, I've interviewed Dr. Green, who is a psychologist. That's kind of her spill as well. So she helps talk people off the ledge. And so I even talked to Eileen Slacko. Her episode is season 4, episode 50, where we're talking about retirement hacks, but also she lost pretty much all the men in her life. And so by that survival piece, it's like one of the reasons why she started talking about retirement for women and to kind of help getting women more into the financial side of the house, because usually traditionally growing up, the men were handling everything. And so when people passed, the women didn't know anything, so they were playing catch up the whole time. And so during that episode, we did talk about that piece. So it's like, I know we talking about the dads and grads side of the house, but also for those of you who are listening, like where the women at already have that show covered, so we can get both ends. And I highly recommend to listen to both as well.
Yeah. And one thing I do want to add, right, because that's literally what happened to me, which is why I had to drop out. I mean, I was in the social work program for my bachelor's. I got my associates, so I guess technically I graduated, but
you graduated?
I never walked, so I don't really, claim it that on that level. But that's exactly what I had to do. I had to make a decision, and not only that, but in society, women are still considered property if we're really keeping it real. And I know this because when I had to get my first property, it was there were a lot of obstacles, and ultimately I had to find a man to put on the deed, and they listed his name first. Ruthie Thee Truth. I will not lie. I got receipts.
In certain states, they haven't even changed that yet.
Yeah, well, the thing is, people are people. You know what I'm saying? So even if states have laws and legislation, stuff like that, it's who you know. And because at that point in time in my life, I didn't know the people I know now to make things happen the way it's supposed to happen. That's the hand I was dealt. And so ultimately I did end up selling that house last year because, that situation ended. It was just, it was a mental health situation that took place. He lost his mom, and he didn't want to talk. I mean, he tried. We tried to do the therapy and couples therapy, and so I learned some skills from there, like learning how to communicate your non-negotiables.
Yeah.
Most people don't do that before they get married or before they get into relationships. That's not a part of the thing, but it will be a part of my dads and grads curriculum because I done lived it. Life done taught me that part.
True.
And so I know that, other people probably there are plenty of people even now, right? Like with Mother's Day, you were talking about holidays, being like the high rate. I think about that every holiday because for me it's Father's Day. Like that's why in June I'm putting this event together to celebrate dads and grads because I know that is my low point every single year. It has been since 2012. And then when my brother passed away in June, it's 5 years ago, like that really, I was like, all right, June, I have to keep myself balanced because if I don't, I know I can fall into that again. I'm not exempt, like this, just like, I was talking about welfare. We used to tell the participant, they ended up hiring me, the work study, back to work program that I had to participate in before they gave me the assignment to work for the parks department and pick up the trash and clean toilets and all of that stuff at the pools. They hired me because they saw I was in college still. And I guess they were trying to help me to not be in the wrong environments. So they hired me I got my first full-time job from welfare, from being in the welfare system, which goes to show you society. They see a young black female, and especially with no man and 2 kids, like a divorced young black female with 2 young children. it's a financial. I look like I look like a
Like a
walking financial liability.
Yeah.
And right, so
I'm sorry that sucks. Like society isn't gotten things right yet.
listen, they've taught me how to be the number one strategist for goal driven planning. I have created a way to use lifing situations that I've been through to
Mm-hmm.
help others, and this is why I have this goal, this business goal, to have a positive financial impact on 800 dads and grads by December 31st. So
Yeah.
this purpose behind the pain, and that every time I can have that financial success story and get closer to that 800 number, it makes it all worth it. Like, that's just what I was designed to do. Like,
Yeah. Well, it seems like everything else that's been like you've been going through, but it seems as though how can how can those who are going through it stay happy? Because I know you talk about the check-ins for people checking in on them, but I know they got the book that they can possibly rely on. We talked about being available for them if they need a phone call or something like that. But what can we do? Like, what can they do on their own? Like journaling, will that be helpful? Did it help you out?
yeah. Well, I mean, that's a part of the book. That's incorporated in the workbook. So the workbook is literally, that is the ultimate line of defense. Like, I literally, everything I've been, I mean, I've got stories for it ever.
Let's see if I can.
Yes. Well, thank God you got podcasting. It works because now, that's what it's for, to tell the stories. And so literally every strategy, the tools that I use, like within my Dads and Grads Academy,
Mhm.
I put it in this workbook. So this is ultimately like
A structured journal.
this is a it's a self what do you call that?
Self-paced.
Self-paced, self-started. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, because I know my services, like for me to be available for somebody, it's gonna be costly. I know this because I know the value that I bring to anybody's life, and like how much harder it is for me to function in society as a full-time entrepreneur. And so there is that like crowdfunding type of lifestyle that I live now, because I want to show people like they can do it too. You know what I'm saying? It's about togetherness, and ultimately you should never suffer in silence. Like, I have my hashtag no sis, like no suffering in silence.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
And I didn't make the t-shirts yet.
Right.
But that's for the ladies. That's right. Because a lot of the women, they feel left out, and I'm like, no,
Right.
sis.
Right.
But it's really no suffering in silence. So, I mean, I guess no one should suffer in silence.
Right.
And so that's it. This is a self-guided. That's what I was trying to say. This is the self-guided version of my Dads and Grads Academy. This is just without me physically being there. But then if they feel like they need somebody there, there is a QR code that is within the self-guided workbook. So at any point they can push that I should make it like a panic button. Like they
that'd
like
be cool.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
Well, I mean, it is
It's
bright
a QR
pink.
code that looks like a panic button.
You make it bright and pink.
Yeah, because I still had to put my feminine touch onto it and then make it. Yeah, exactly. So if they click that, I think I may. You just made me. This is live, y'all.
Right.
So I'm gonna update it, and it's gonna look like a panic button, so they can hit the panic button and get in contact with me if they feel like they just cannot do it on their own. But there's an option. So if they have the workbook, this is them doing it on their own, because it literally goes through the steps. If you look through the beginning part where it gives the goals, so this is what I did. Like with my children, my kids know this. Like I tell people this has been kid tested, mother approved, and now I'm passing it on to the dads and grads because I know that these are the two main communities that are really going through the highest level of stress that anybody could possibly go through in life. And as a semi-grad, I know this on the grad side, and I can only imagine, as my father being a veteran and a father at the same time, what his mindset was, what he was going through, that led to him not being there for me the way I felt like I needed him before he passed away. And so,
and I guess if he has something like this, you can go back and see what his thoughts were in these different domains. Like, because you're talking about, like, how did he feel about his education? How did he feel about family? How did he feel about having fun? What was his hobbies and stuff like that? Like, favorite color? Like, some of the things I think these are pretty cool, like, that people don't really think about, I guess. It's almost like those 21 questions that I know,
yes.
What's it called? 50 Cent. 21 questions.
Oh, you know, I didn't even think of that.
So having 50 questions in the beginning, that'd be funny.
That is great.
I mean, maybe we could
might start using that music in my reels. But go ahead, you say.
I was thinking about if it is a dad, you can even just throw that in the front, like, "Hey, Dad, these are 21 questions, like, you know, to pass on to your next kin or whoever that finds the book, and they're like, oh yeah, you know, get to learn a little bit more about you, because these are the same questions everybody asks anyway. You know, what makes you happy? And what do you like to do in your free time? And, you know, what businesses you thought about me? It's like, I don't know, something, but I just think it'll be fun, something fun to do.
Yeah, there's a guy on Instagram. He's based in Tennessee. I forgot exactly what his handle is, but I know his name is Mitch. And he had a reel. I think I put it on my Instagram, and it's like 7 questions to ask your. He said it for his mom. 7 questions to ask your mom before she dies. And I guess because he, you know, there's, like I said, there's a part of the survivor's guilt. Like, damn, what did I not do? Like, this is all of what I missed out on. So, you know, it's like, man, I should have been there to ask these questions. And he actually has some questions. I think he did it for dads as well. But I should actually reach out to, because he does that content. So I'm like, hey, you got 21 questions for dads and grads. And
right. Ooh, you know what? I would say 7 is a sweet number. But you know what? You can do 8. Since you like 8. 8 questions. 7 is the number of
completion.
Yeah, it is the number of completion.
Yeah. But 8 is also lucky. So for all of my Asian people out there, they let me know.
Yeah. Yeah, I do the 8s in there.
Yes, and I believe that if I do my ancestry with these chinky eyes that I have, it's very highly slanted. Let me not say it like that. These highly slanted eyes that I have, I'm quite sure. Because when I went to Bali, then people were looking like my cousins for real.
Oh, really?
In Indonesia? Yes! I sent a picture of a selfie with me and the driver that I had. I sent the selfie to my mom. She said, "Don't say where you found your cousin." Real family. I'm like, yeah, because y'all, this family ghetto. I don't know how I ended up here. Like, how did this happen?
I think I did something similar with a family down in when I went to Tobago. It just looked like I looked like I belong there. Like, I would say a little longer in the sun. And I was like, oh, okay, we in here together. Like, they thought I was local. I was like, I got these US dollars up over here. Y'all, I need some royalty treatment.
Listen. You can stretch your dollars a long way when you go across the way.
Well, you need to talk to some locals, because they be screwing you over at the bar. They was like, oh, it's $2 US, and I was like, no, it's not. It's $7 your local dollars, which is $1 US. What you talking about?
Yeah, well, because you're frugal. See, they know most Americans when they go over there. It's not like,
it was like $2 a drink. That's cheap. Give me 5 of these.
There were 2 little girls that I'm gonna repost it on my social media. They were so cute, but they like position these they maybe must have been like sisters or something, or maybe I don't know. I'm assuming, but they were selling fans. It was hot as heck out there, and they got me. I was like,
they got you with the fans.
Yes, I gotta show the picture though of me with the fan. Cause I was like, listen, if I bought this fan, but it's because they were young. They were, you know, it was a good product. I needed it, so it was supply and demand. I was like, you know what? I cannot even.
What did y'all for like $10?
I don't even know. Right. They didn't speak the language. Like it was a whole setup. I was like, what? And you know, it's little kids, so you know, normally with kids, you try to give them like not a full bill, you know, or you give them like like US would be like $1 or $5 or $10. Like, you wouldn't give them a 20 or 100.
Right.
But you know, when you in a different country, it's like, man, you know. I don't even know how much I gave them, but they was happy. They took the picture. They was cheesing. They was like,
I bet you will, because he gave the most money they ever got. They was like, look at this sucker. We'll take a photo with her, right?
Yeah, quick. But it was the kids. You know, they I couldn't knock it. They were out there. They were out there in the heat. Like, so I was like, all right, they on the grind. Like, you know, and they starting young, so hopefully.
Oh man, I was actually thinking about that because, like, you know, Disney. It's heavy, right? So imagine you just in a Disney parking lot before they even get inside the gym. Be like, yo, I got these umbrellas, $10.
No, $10. But they can't. It's not. I don't think there's enough of a need. Like if it's water, maybe. Because
I'm using the heck out of an umbrella
to the thing from the back, because you know that's a long walk from the parking lot. Well, yeah.
Oh, like I never been as an adult, so.
Really.
Yeah.
I went to Disneyland with the children. Like that was in 2016, like a year or two after the divorce. And my uncle, because he was in the military, so you know I got that military discount, and I was all up in Disneyland and San Diego Zoo and all of that. Like, you know, they was holding me down. Like I went, traveled out there, brought the kids, and it made me feel rich, even though I knew I was still broke. But because I was rich with the family that was willing to, you know, get me the discounts that I needed, and you know, I could stay with them, so I didn't have to book a hotel, and my kids can still experience what I wanted them to experience without the broken home aspect. But you know, we made it work, and so yeah, it was really. Actually, I feel like I didn't really get my money's worth because the kids were very like not into it.
Oh no, not really.
Really?
I think it's I think Disney is more of an adult thing than it is for the kids.
Yeah. But it's weird because some places they don't even let you in without kids. Like Legoland and stuff like that. You can't get
I heard about that. Yeah, because it was it all happened because that one guy, he was a creep.
Saying, yeah.
And because of that one guy, they was like, no, you gotta have a kid. I'm like, yo, let me borrow your kid. Like
I know my friend said that.
I want to go to Legoland. I want to go.
Yeah, my friend out in California, and that was back to that as well, right? So my friend had the car, so I didn't have to worry about renting a car. I was just like, yo, can you pick me up? Because he wanted to be a kid. So he was like, all right, yeah, where you guys want to go? Right. So I'm like, we want to go to Disneyland. Okay, I'll drive you. And I was like, oh, all right. And then he like took the pictures, and then you know, it just it all worked out. And then he took them to like Sky Zone, and he's like, I'll pay. I was like, word, okay, you know. And and it was just I was able to make life work. Like that's what your net worth really. That's what they say it is. Like your network.
Yeah, your network is your net worth. Yeah.
Right. So I never had an actual dollar amount because it was the people that, you know, saw I was struggling. And even if they didn't really ask me, maybe they saw like if they probably thought if they asked me, I probably would have like really flipped the lid or like went flip mode. Maybe now that I think about it, like, because they probably like, damn, she got the 2 kids, she just got divorced, and she lost her dad, and she had to drop out of college, and she's always in the library, and they probably just like, I'll just drive you where you have to.
That's whatever you need. We got you.
Yeah. Just come. Just get here. We got you. So it worked out. And then they like where they were living was good as well. Like You know, my uncle lived on the hill, so I was able to watch the sun. Like that's how I developed a love for like sunsets, because it's like, okay, it was a peaceful, serene environment, and it was just like a warm feeling that I had, even though I knew I didn't have what I needed, you know, for my kids. I just kept making it work and built my credit from there, and that's how I was able to pay for the flights, and then just kind of rob Peter to pay Paul and get the 0% APR. Like I started reading up on it, and I was like, all right, I could just transfer the balance and you let it, you know, live out another year. Like, okay,
a whole another year.
Life will go on. Thank the Lord. How many more credit cards can I get? That is 0% for 12.
You can get as many as you need.
Perks, and when I have to pay bills, I get mileage points. Like free $5 flights. Like what?
I haven't paid for a flight I actually just paid for a flight to LA, and that's my first time in 3 years paying for a flight, only because I applied to talk, but I didn't realize on how soon of a turnaround it was from going to FinCon, and I haven't built up enough points yet for a free flight all the way to Los Angeles. You know what I'm saying? But I have enough points now though, because I had to pay for that flight. So,
right. Exactly. Yeah. So sometimes, you know, bad things happen, so better things can fall into place. Like, that's just how it works.
That actually might be a good episode title.
Listen,
bad things happen, right?
Yeah. Listen, you can do a whole series. I'm there for it. I'm ready. I could give you have a whole therapy session.
Oh my God. Hey, I mean, like I said, podcasting is therapeutic. I don't care what nobody say. It's like, to me, it's the best therapy. Like, even if you just want to get some things off your chest, it's a video journal, really.
Right. Yeah.
And that you're inviting people to look at your journal and see what's going on. Instagram and all this other stuff, I think some people don't need to turn their cameras on. I'm like, you might have recorded yourself, but you don't need to post it too. Like,
right.
You know, like if you
listen.
Yeah, because you fell out of a chair or something like that. Like, no, we don't need to see that.
But some of them are a little bit entertaining. Like, you know, when they have like the person that gets struck by the tail in the tailspin, and then it like transitions in a sequence to the person.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what exactly that's called, but my kids are trying to teach me all of that. It's not necessarily no, it's not a montage. There's a name for it, but
it is. I just thought it was but it's like a continuous sequence of a fall to some other scene. Yeah,
and then it's the person that you know that falls by accident. I'm like, I don't think I could ever do that. Like, I thought about maybe trying it, but then I was like, first of all, why would I want to self-inflict pain?
Right.
No, I could get better attention. But whatever works for them.
Okay. We're going to go there.
That would not work for me.
So we talked about a lot of things today. But one of the things I want to talk about is the features. I know we recorded recently, but obviously for the people who are just finding out about you, what are your future self? Like, what habits that you feel is going to take you to that next level?
I'm so glad you asked that question. So, for one, togetherness. Like, that is me. I am all for togetherness. I'm all for forward thinking and recruiting people who are like-minded or want to get there, because not everybody is like forward thinking, but if they feel like that may be productive for their life, and that may give them the hope that they need to kind of like get through whatever life transitions they're going through or whatever situation they're going through, I'm here, I'm ready, and and we could get it done. And you know, my future is really hitting my 800 number, exceeding it, really exceeding it. But if I can just hit the 800 mark and document 800 stories of financial success, you know, based on like people getting the workbook or just listening, even if they don't have the workbook, like, hey, they listen to this podcast session and it sparked something in them, like to want, it sparked hope for them to like know, like, okay, even though I was just about to end it all, you know what, Ruthie influenced me, she inspired me to make it through the rest of this year, to make it to December 31st. And if I made it from whatever today's date is to December 31st, and we're not halfway through the year yet, then I made it more than halfway through the year. And how much money did I accumulate in the past 7 months? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
that is a positive financial influence, right? Like, that's what I would like to capture. I would like to capture the 800 dads and grads stories of financial success, and just hope for their future. Their future is my future, and
Oh.
yeah, that's just, yeah, it's that's just what it is.
I know, baby, teary eyed. I'm here for you. I'm here. I got something for you.
Yeah, and
I mean, not to make light of the situation, but yeah, in all honesty, like I really think that's amazing. What
yeah.
you're doing.
So so with that, right? I'll give you one quick story, if as quick as I could possibly make it.
Okay.
So just recently, right? I just put this workbook together, right? I just sent it to you last night or day or two ago,
yeah,
whatever.
days ago. Yeah.
Right? Just less than a week. It's a less than a week of production. And so most people don't know. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. If they've seen me in person, they have got my business card, right? So this is what my business card looks like, y'all. Show y'all real quick. Right? I have the Financial Freedom Mindset Program. Mm-hmm. And so the Financial Freedom Mindset Program is like the umbrella of part dads and grads, part like everything else that's about to come into place, because we making it happen, right? And on the back is my my QR code, right? Mm-hmm. And then it says what I do, right? So new life goals, child support, co-parenting sessions, student loan debt, medical bills, collections, all of pretty much everything that happened in my life, with the exception of the student loan debt. Like I was able to pay my loans, or they were small, because I dropped out. I was like, yo, if I go into debt, I definitely am ending it. Like, I know I will not be able to get through this. So I started going for scholarships. But had I continued with college, had I not dropped out, I know for a fact I would have had massive student loan debt. But like I said, the person that gave me the name Ruthie Thee Truth had still has massive student loan debt, right? Because I just checked in to say, hey, can I get a testimonial? What's going on? What's the update? What made you give me this name, Ruthie Thee Truth? Because I didn't come up with this name. And they're like, can't you just make something up? I'm like, no. Because I don't know. Like, I don't know what I did that helped you. And so what his response was that he said exactly what you said. He said, like, you literally gave me hope. And I now, like, now that you're not around, like, because he's away, he's like in Alabama, right? I'm in New York, New Jersey area. He said everything just did a whole 180. It went right back to where it started. And I was like helping him with mediation with his kid's mother, and like literally it was like night and day. Like, I just sat on a Zoom call. Well, it was Google Meet at that time. Sat on Google Meet, and I was just like, hey, I influenced him to move to Alabama because that's where she left. She was originally from New York. He was originally in Connecticut. And I told him, like, listen, you're up north, but your children need you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just it. Like, because I knew this from example. That's how the book came to be. So so he moved out there. We still did the Zoom calls and stuff like that. Everything was smooth sailing. Like, and he told me, I hated this woman. Like, there's no. He's like, now I cannot. If Ruthie is not on the call, I don't want to be on the call, because yeah, right. And so I'm like, that's just how powerful this workbook is. Like, that is what it is. And If that does not convince, I'm not trying to convince anybody because I already know what it is, because it's here. Like, so I'm gonna show people what it is, right? So this is what it is. This is what it is. Now, I was telling Anthony before we started the recording, right? And I don't know if it was the manifestation, because I didn't interview the gentleman that gave me this $100 bill, right? Mm-hmm. But let's just say it was the manifestation, because I told people, if I give you this card, you should definitely keep it in your wallet. If you want to have money in your wallet, this is step one. And they, I said that originally because I'm like, I paid money for this. I don't want to throw my cards out. Because I made the money, so I'm like, all right, if they feel like this is money, then it will grow. It is going to grow. And even when I did my human design, that was a part of my human design, is I'm a money manifester. And so like, I was like, I didn't even know that, but okay. Right. So the gentleman that gave me this $100 bill is not a dad. He's not a grad. He only saw the first 5 pages. Even if it was the first 5 pages, I don't even know how many pages. The minute he saw the book, he believed in what the power. If he felt it. He felt it before he used the book. And he wanted me to make sure that I had the money to reproduce more, because he wanted to help. Like, this is symbolic of the 800. Like, he wants this 100 to help the 800 dads and grads to get the help and the support that they need. And I told Andy, I was like, yo, I just keep looking at this because I'm like, I didn't even do anything. Like, I literally just shared what I had, and he knows whatever. Perhaps he may be going through something. I don't know. I didn't ask. I was going to record. He did not want to be recorded. So I was like, okay, from working with other gentlemen, I do know, like, that's a thing. Men are brought up to not show emotion because it's a weakness. And I'm like, bro, let's cut that out, because no, it's not. There is strength in support. And so the only way a person can support you is if they know what you're going through, because that's how people were able to support me, because at some point in time, I must have said something that alerted them, like, she needs support. And so it wasn't, most of the people weren't really my family other than California. That's why I was always out there. And were strangers. It was the women in the Bursar office. They called themselves the Sunshine Club. They showed me couponing. They introduced me to what couponing was. And this is when I was pregnant with my son. So this was like even before my dad was still alive at this time. It wasn't my mom, wasn't my dad. It was the ladies in the Sunshine Club in the Bursar's office at the college. It was the accountant that I sat next to, because I guess she was looking. They must have knew. Because I felt like I was on suicide watch, because she was like, you're going to sit right here in this corner. And she showed me, like, how to, I was looking at everybody's tuition. So I saw what the debt was. Like, I saw people crying at the Bursar's office because they were trying to do better in their life. They were trying to get the diploma that they needed, so that way they can get the job that will pay for their success. And I was in the Bursar's office for like 3 semesters, but then when I had the baby, no, actually I'm lying, 2 semesters, because I was pregnant the 2 semesters. And afterwards I just came back. Like, I didn't work there as work study, but whatever. Like, I just came back to let them know, like, hey, here's the baby. The baby was born, and and my daughter used to run around because the child care, they only were open for so long. So the lady was like, bring a 1.5-year-old and a pregnant old big old belly. I'm gonna show the pictures. I'm gonna post the pictures. But long story short, this is a testament that I know that this is gonna work. Because if this man said he hates business, he hates for people to talk business to him. He's not a dad. He's not a grad. And he knows that this is going to work. So, I may frame. I think I'm going. I know he said to do. I'm torn. It's going to take me some time to invest this $100 because it's more than just money to me. It's purpose. And that's what I believe. Even with veterans, I know a lot of the struggles that they explain to me they have is feeling like they went into the service, they enlisted and enrolled because they wanted to serve a purpose, but when they got to deployment and they saw like everything that they witnessed and a lot of the PTSD that they go through, it made them feel like the complete opposite. And then they come back home and people are thanking them for their service because that's just the generic thing to do. And nobody is asking them how they're feeling, which is what they really need somebody to say to them. And what they really need is just a hug and words of encouragement and affirmations to let them know that, hey, listen, we know that you were trained to kill, and then coming back into civilian world, you'll get locked up for the same thing that you were getting paid to do. Yeah. Like, I get it. I'm learning, like, this workbook, creating this has allowed me the opportunity to even learn more and expand my mind, my personal growth. So my personal growth level is on a scale of 1 to 10. This is changing my life. This is my book. Right. It's changing me. Like, So, somebody else asked me, like, do you even use your own product? Yeah.
Every Wednesday you be up there.
Right. So, if it works for me, I know for a fact it will work for even someone who's not a dad, someone who's not a grad. This guy, I'm sure he will. I sent him, the prototype for the digital flip book. And, he asked me, like, okay, do you take donations? And I'm like, yeah. Like, I'll add it to the workbook, the link. So, it's just something, it's a gift that literally just keeps on giving. And so I believe that, like, now there is something tangible that can, it can benefit on a spiritual level, even if which it goes hand in hand. You really can't have one without the other. Like, if your spirit is, if all is well within your spirit, you're going to have financial success because you're going to be functional. You're going to be able to see things that you are blinded by when you're in despair. And a lot of things I just could not see. You can't see what your future is because you are broken. I was broken. I was like, every plan I had, like, I do this, and every plan I had, I'm like, God, why? Like, why are you making me go through this? Like, why? I know I can do this. Like, I know I can achieve anything I put my mind to, but why?
But why this? Right.
Right. Like, and now, looking in retrospect, it's because it's like Jesus, right, on the cross. Mm-hmm. You have to be that sacrificial lamb. And ironically, I became a retiree when I started doing this full time. I was 33. Mm-hmm. So I've been doing this since 33, and I'll be 36 on Friday. So
shucks.
Right. So I it's just like, you want to be like God, like that's the purpose. That's what I believe the purpose is in life. And like, so even like for the veterans that I've spoken with already, I just let them know, if you believe in God, like, then even if you don't, that God told me he told me he wasn't a believer in anything else. Like, he was completely out of alignment with everything, but he felt the energy that it was organic. Like, he just knows that there is hope for whatever is going on. And I just want people to know that, like, that's my future. My future is your future. So don't give up. Don't give in to any of those thoughts of despair, any of those thoughts of depression, any of those thoughts of anxiety, of whatever your negative feelings are, whatever you feel like you just cannot get through anymore. just think of Ruthie Thee Truth. Like, just think of me. Just
think of you.
you know what I'm saying? Just think of me. Like, just
Right.
think of this episode. Think of what Ruthie said. What is the future? Ruthie is your future. Ruthie is your future. Just keep saying that. That should be your affirmation whenever you're in despair. Ruthie is your future.
Yeah.
And I will get you there. I promise y'all. 800 and up, and just spread the word to every dad, grad. Even if they're not a dad, they're not a grad. Show them this. Show them this. This guy was not a dad, not a grad, but he knows that it's gonna work.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he wouldn't have put his money up like that.
And on top of that, by the time we actually release this, I'll make sure to have a link in the show notes so that people can go down and get their copy so that they can watch this and go through that whole process with you.
Yes. I'm excited. I cannot wait for this to like official. Like I'm officially releasing it on my birthday. So this is like, the business. Like I love to do something business oriented for every day, really, but especially on my birthday. Like, this is the gift. So my birthday wish this year is for every dad and grad that will see this. I mean, they're gonna see it after my birthday, but
yeah.
Still, you can get belated. I take belated birthday gifts. You know what I'm saying? I feel like all year round is my birthday.
Yeah.
So,
but before we do that, I just want to make sure that because we come up to the last end of the show, and I just wanted to, if you could leave everybody with one last message, and then where could people find out more about you?
Sure. Yes. So I'm gonna start with where they can find me. They can find me on my website at www.ruthietheetruth.com. The way that is spelled right here, RUTHIE THEE truth.com. Right. So when you go there, that will give you access to everywhere else that I'm at. So I'm on YouTube, LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, Dads and Grads podcast. Oh my gosh, did I say everything? I hope I said everything.
You got everything.
Yeah, all of my links are right there. www.ruthietheetruth.com. And my final word for you guys, I said it, before, but I just want to reiterate it, is to never give up. Don't give up. Every dad and grad that is watching this episode right now, and if you're aspiring to be a dad, you're aspiring to be a grad, I want to let you know that you can do it. All right? You got to learn how to win wounded. I know that you are broken. I know you feel like you're not going to be able to make it. I know. I've been there. I know exactly what it feels like. And so because I know, and because the person that gave me this Ruthie Thee Truth name was a dad. He is a dad. And he even says this exactly what I'm saying. Actually, he'll say more because I did more with him. And for him and his family, his children, his baby mama, his parents, like all of the relationships that he thought were broken and were ended and were not, there was just no coming back from it. I helped him to mend those relationships. And I look forward to doing that for each and every one of you, because you deserve it. You deserve the best in life. And so I know this and I can see it. I'm a visionary. So I want y'all to be the implementer, and let me give you the vision that you probably can't see right now, so you can implement and exceed all of the expectations that you have for your life.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ruthie, and for one, being very vulnerable, definitely telling the truth, and sharing your life story, because this is some of the things on the reasons why. And when you hear about people only showing the highlights of their lives on Instagram or anywhere else, we do our highlights even when we're not even posting. We wear the clothes that we wear. We walk the way we walk. We purchase items just to showcase that things seem okay. But there's a lot of things that are going on behind closed doors that a lot of people just don't know. It's a lot of tears. It's a lot of crying. It's a lot of self-reflection. But it's okay. This is part of life. And yes, people want to show the highlights because these are some of their proud moments. So let that person have that joy. It's okay. And you can have yours too. So if anything, again, everybody, make sure you check out Ruthie and all the things that she's doing. She's doing amazing work, and hopefully you all are living a full financial abundance, educational, all the fun stuff.
A financially well life.
Yeah, financial life. There you go. So that you can continue on doing all your activities and everything like that. So make sure y'all do that. And again, y'all have a good one. We out. Peace.
Bye.